What's going on, YouTube? Steve JMO. It is the 19th of June, 2020. So they say. And today, just want to talk a little bit about technology that was either ahead of its time or possibly found. The state capitol buildings. So let's just think for a second. For a majority of these state capitol buildings, most likely, I haven't looked at the dates for all of them yet. We're going to go through them all in a minute, but like Hawaii would probably be the only one that excludes this, but all the other state capitol buildings were put up in or around wartime, and America has always been at war. But back in the day, it wasn't like we had hundreds of thousands of millions of workers. Like we had maybe hundreds of thousands of millions of people in the nation, you know? And they were all living in wooden houses, allegedly. And these state capitol buildings that we're going to look at, they're just magnificent, decades ahead of its time, or it was just found from a prior civilization. Who knows? We shall see. So, screen share. We're just on Wikipedia right now. List of state capitol buildings, and we're going to start in Alabama, 1851. 1851. From 1850 to 1851. You love that. And just look at this building. It's got the pillars, a couple statues outside on brick. Wow. Incredible. And you can't miss the dome on top. This is one of the more simpler ones that we're going to look at, but still, Alabama in the midst of the Civil War just decided to put this up out of all things that they could have been doing at that time. This is just their state house, built in and around the same time frame. Interesting, I believe. And right here we have the Alaska State Building. Nothing too fancy, but look through the trees, and what do we find? A couple of Roman, Greco-like pillars. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So we'll go to the next one. This is probably done late 1800s, early. So what we got here, the Arizona State Capitol building. It doesn't look like it has a dome, but if you look, it does. It has a slight brick colored looking dome. So in Arizona, let's check the date. Arizona State Capitol building in 1900. 1900. This is what they had the resources to make. Clearly, after talking to Jerry on Jen's channel the other day, clearly some sort of scorching event happened down here, which would fit the nature of Arizona, I may say. Desert, hot, forsaken, terrible. Just saying. Just saying. You got some Senate houses and whatnot. We're going to make our way to 1915. See that there? We're going to the Arkansas State Capitol. And the resources and the funds and the man labor, I guess, were prevalent enough in the times to build something miraculous like this with a little dome Antiquitech on the top there. Very interesting. Notice the perfection. Wow. And notice how maybe there was something on top of these over here before the great event happened, or we came to America and found this like that and just rebranded it. Because that seems to be the new, not the new, seems to be the old line in the book. Everything's just renamed, rebranded, and just passed on generation through generation. So this was what, 1915. So we're going to make our way back a couple years to 1874, Sacramento, California State Capitol building. Wow. Just wow. So you're telling me in the 1800s, when everyone has horses, buggies, dirt roads, all this baloney, they had the means to make stuff like this? Why not make everything like that? Unless they found it like this. Either they were eons ahead of their technology and then something happened and brought them back to the to dust, or these were simply found and reclaimed. Wow, look at the archways, clearly not made for regular sized human beings. That's a human down there. That's the arch. Most places I see, they kind of make steps up to where the pillars would be and remaster that as the grand door, but not here, not in California. Like I'm saying, they didn't have the means to build stairs up here to even fake it out. No, they had no means. It's probably just found. So next, we're gonna go to 1907 to Denver. Wow, give me a break. Give me a break. And look, it's on a giant hill. You love to see it. Just look at this. This looks like some sort of out of freaking Scotland or something like that, dude. I don't even know. They had the funds, the resources, the gold. They had the money to build something like this. A golden dome, people. Saying, oh, we're scarce for money. Well, how about you just, melt the domes down? It's probably a couple hundred tons up there. That should fuel the economy for the next couple of years. But no, they choose not to do that. Because even if they wanted to, they can't, because they can't recreate anything like this today. Look at that. Interesting. Pillars and all. In Grinnell, Connecticut, 1879. Look at this. This only took, what, 6 years to complete? 7? Wow. Another golden dome. Huge Greco-Roman looking pillars. Wow. I was going to say the Star of Rembrandt everywhere, but not quite, but close enough. Wow. He even has like the cathedral looking, or stained glass would be. Wow. Very interesting. There's like 3 or 4 different types of architecture in here. It's interesting. I'm saying it looks like some sort of cathedral looking place, And you got the golden dome with all these statues on top. I wonder, what crane brought these up in 1876 or whatever to, put them up there along with this little shrine temple. Just interesting. Interesting. The timeline is not accurate, people. And we're going to make our way to Delaware. 1933. Seems rather modest for 1933. If the technology they had back in 1890 or 1879 could do what we saw in the, this building here. See what I'm saying? And this is 1933, Delaware State Capitol. I mean, the brick is incredible. The giant windows, the giant doorways. Clearly built in homage of the prior society, but this seems like the best they could do. I like to call it the knockoff mud flood. Make our way down to Florida. State Capitol in 1977 in Tallahassee, the newest state capitol. Very small. Interesting. Did not know that. That was like a waste of 10 seconds. All right, so we're going to work our way to Georgia. 1889. Took them 6 years to complete this one. And this is what they did in 6 years. They threw a golden dome on top. Wow. This is so crazy. A little statue of someone with a flare on top. Wow. And I think that's before we would have had the Statue of Liberty, so that's intense. And like I said, you got your Greco-Roman looking pillars, giant windows, giant doorways. Just interesting stuff. Wow. I have a hard time believing that the industrial sophistication of 1889 had the capability to produce anything like that. And if they could, I don't think they'd be able to do it in 6 years. Probably be still working on it today. And like I said, Hawaii, we'll just skip over that because that's a newer one, I guess. And we'll work our way over here to Idaho. Wow. Two little miniature domes, possibly. Maybe there was one or two more of these hanging around. Who knows? I mean, you got the Greco pillars over here perfectly. You know, they line up just, perfectly straight across. Wow. Giant reefs on top. Clearly something out of a prior civilization, a prior technology, prior way of living with the golden Antiquitech on top and the giant cement-ish looking domes. Who knows? So that was Idaho. Let's work our way over to Illinois. And what year was Illinois? 1887. Wow. 1887. So you're telling me in Illinois, this is what they were, just popping up for fun in 1887. Buildings like this. Buildings like this. Wow. I mean, there's Greco pillars all the way up. Little ones here, giant ones there, huge doorways here. Who built this stuff, man? Who built this stuff? Not Americans with the technology we had 100 and, 30, 40 years ago. Let's work our way over to Indiana. Wow. And what year was that? I'm fucking this all up. 1888. Like I said, right around the same time frame for the Industrial Revolution. Wasn't really taken off yet. Back here, they'd be lucky to have railways. Everyone horses, buggies, wooden houses, little mining ops. Nothing, no cranes, nothing to, this is heavy. This is probably tons and tons here. They had nothing that could withstand this weight and bring it up and place it on top. Or even get up there and, bring the stone or the structure, whatever they needed to build. And like I said, we see this common Greco-Roman everywhere. Everywhere. Doesn't matter where you are. It's in your backyard. It's in your backyard. Look at this, Kansas State Capitol. We'll look at the date in a minute because I forgot. But wow, look at the amount of stairs you got to go up. They probably call that the first floor. It's probably like sub 1. You definitely know there's a couple more things going on below there, in my opinion. And look at the top. Wow. Some dude shooting a bow up. That's crazy. That's so crazy. There is no way that humans in the year, let's see, or at least humans in the United States in the year 1873, right, could build anything like that. We'll go to 1910 to Kentucky, the Kentucky State Capitol. Come on, what is going on here? What is with all the pillars? Why are we living in like a new world Greek Roman type deal? What is going on? Why were these here? I think that these were here before the Revolutionary War. Why were these here? Because the same things are found in Athens, same things are found in Rome, same things are found in Egypt, same things are found even all the way in Japan down to Argentina, Nepal, India, you name it, man. The Greco, Australia. That's an interesting story with Australia because allegedly they sent a bunch of prisoners, Irish British prisoners. You should see the state capitol they built in 10 years. Something like this. I don't think they had the resources for that. I think we went on these expeditions to claim more land, to find more places. But who built this and left this here? And how are they so just structurally sound and untouched and just beautiful to the date? Louisiana State Capitol, that blows me away. Look at this thing, bro. We'll look at the date in a second. Baton Rouge. This thing goes up, what, like 15, 16 stories? What is that, man? What is going on? Look at the door. They have to put miniature doors because that's someone's front door. And they're going up here to give a speech or something. I don't know. I don't know. Fallen angels? Who knows? We'll talk about that, but yeah, because I do believe that this is all evidence of fallen angel technology, either brought to us by them themselves or the offspring Nephilim hybrids, which fell in the days of Jared. And the Bible talks about specifically in Genesis 6, there was Nephilim in those days and after that. Like, oh, so yeah, they don't really tell you when they stop. They don't really tell you when they stop. So this is Louisiana, 1932. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So this was like 1882, I think this said. Oh, no, completed in 1832. I saw the two. This is Maine, the Maine State Building. Look at that. Look at that, dude. Are you kidding me? Pillars all the way up in here. Pillars here. Wow. In Maine, 1832. This is what we were just, no big deal. I'm going to go build a state capitol building while you all live in wooden houses on dirt roads. Crazy stuff. We'll make our way down to Maryland. I believe, I'm sorry, again, I got to keep going back. I thought it was 1797. And don't let the brick fool you. This is Greco-Roman in nature because, as we found out, underneath most of that, granite, cement-looking plaster is just a bunch of brick. Where did they get all this brick? I have no idea, but you still see the Greco-Roman structure in the pillars everywhere. A nice dome on top. Dying of that coronavirus over here. Wow. And we'll make it over to the Massachusetts State House. This is where I live. 1798. And they started constructing this before the end of the Revolutionary War. So they're like, we're going to win no matter what. Allegedly, I think they just found it then. Look at this thing. It's in Boston. 1797, allegedly completed. Or refurbished, found, or maybe they had some sort of techniques to make stuff like this back then, and an event happened where those techniques were lost. Hence is why you have secret societies popping up all around that time. All around that time. Scottish Rite, what is it, Bohemian Freemasonry, something like that. You obviously got the Illuminati, Skull and Bones shortly after. They're all popping up at the same time. And the Rosicrucians and all them, they kind of died off right before that. So what's going on? Look at this place. All brick, Greco-Roman, all along here, double pillars. Look at that. All gold up here, 100%. Ridiculous. All right, work our way now to the Michigan Capitol building in 1878. They had the means, the technology, the ability, apparently, to make this in Michigan. Wow. Look at the double pillars. The double pillars. Going all the way up. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Look at all that. Look at all that. All the way up. And they claim that they built this. They claim in Lansing, 1878. Look at this. 1905. The Minneapolis State Capitol in St. Paul. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe they built this. I don't believe anything like that. I believe they found this, or they had help from, people who needed doors that were that big. You know what I'm saying? None of this adds up. Like, why would we make such giant doorways and huge windows for people who are, like 5'11" for the most part? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. How are people? Where's the ability to move stones like this? It's not, dude. There's nowhere like that. Not in our history. Not back then. Mississippi, 1903, right after the turn of the century into the 20th century. And look at the pillars. Look at the miniature domes. Is there another one? It cuts off, but there probably is. And look at the actual dome with the phoenix, the golden phoenix rising on top. Symbolism is everywhere in all of these as well, if you couldn't tell by now. And look at the stairs. About 25 stairs to get on top of that. Just interesting. Just interesting. Really makes you wonder, where this technology go, or where did the people go? Either way, it's a good question to get answered. 1902, Montana State Capitol. Just blowing buildings out around this time. Look at that. Miniature pillars on top. I'm not sure what kind of stone that is. I'm not going to be one to guess, but it's just crazy. 1899. So that was a lie we just saw. So this original frame was built in 1899, allegedly. It took them 10 years. 10 years. I don't believe that. Probably took them 10 years to dig this out of the freaking hill it's on, but I digress. Wow. Lincoln, Nebraska. Took them, 20 years to build this place? Look at that. Look at that. Incredible. A giant doorway that they had to stone in and put a regular doorway. Wow. No fooling me. Once you got the eyes open, you can see this shit for exactly what it is. Look at this. Nevada, 1871. More modest, but still, why make the frame for the giant doors? Were there giants in those days? Quite possibly. Quite possibly. You know what? Let me just talk about that real quick. Let's leave it on this screen. So the Bible here talks about, 33% of the angels will fall because of Lucifer, but the Bible never really claimed that it was complete. And, we have a decent amount of missing time, even with the messed up timeline. Even if there's 1,000 years missing, that still means that there's pretty much like, 800 years between the last written book of the Bible and present day. That's with the missing time. With the added time, Dark Ages, I don't think there's 1,000 years of nothing, guys. I don't know about you. Use your brain. Even if that added in, that's still 1,800 years, of missing time where more angels could have fallen is what I'm trying to get at. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking that the remainder of the 33% was still had to be complete, or was complete with the falling, with all these buildings. Look at these buildings, guys. Like, there's no way that we built these without help, or we found these from other beings that built this. So either way, we didn't build these. We did not build these. So what I'm trying to throw out there is that, is it possible that angels are still falling, we're still falling in those days and teaching humans how to make buildings like this? Or these were their palaces and we came upon them? Something like that. And are they still falling? Are some yet to fall? That's an interesting thing, because if there's another, reset event happening, I feel like a couple more are going to have to come out of the sky, give us some more instructions on how to F up the human race even more. And, I don't think there's another reset. I think this is like unplugging the console. There's no reset button anymore. I think it's just down the hill. So actually, we are here in New Hampshire, 1818. They had the means, the ability, the manpower, the will to make that. Look at the Golden Dome with the Phoenix again. Wow. Ruling over the globe. Look at that. And we all know we're on a flat plane. I just like to throw their symbolism in there because it means the same thing. Look at that. Giant windows, pillars on pillars. Wow. Once again, giant doors that they had to put miniature doors in. Very interesting. Very interesting in the year 1818. And it's funny. Have you guys noticed the interesting trend? The further back the buildings are made, the more interesting, the more technique was used, the more like impossible it is to recreate. You know, you see what I'm saying? It's just very interesting. Look at New Jersey, 1792, and this is what they were cooking out for buildings, for state capitol buildings in the 1700s. And I live in a wooden house. What's going on? Where's the ability to craft anything like this? You know, this is why they're called Freemasons, because they have the information of the builders, but they got it all for free. They don't know how to do any of this shit. They just have books on how to do it. That's the funny thing with them. That's the funny thing they don't tell you. Freemasons. They picked up the work of the builders, the masons, freely. Walk right into these buildings probably and like, oh, this is my new home. Or some dude who's like 18 feet tall, did a couple techniques, built this place and said, you guys can have this. I'm going to go back in my hole in the ground. You have X amount of years until blah, blah, blah happens. Good luck. That's where I lie between those two. We'll just skip over New Mexico because that looks like shit. Sorry. So 1899, New York State Capitol. I've seen this before. We've featured this before. One of my favorites because it's just a castle. It's just a castle. It's just a giant castle. It's not a state capitol. Some Dracula dude who was probably like fucking 14 feet tall lived here. This is probably his room up here, the master suite with 3 giant windows. Like that's probably where he hung out a lot. Ridiculous. Look at these giant windows. You think they made this? No. Humans didn't make this back in the year 1900. And like Jen likes to point all the time, look at the brickwork, the lines going through. That is telltale signs that mud flooded. And this is my telltale signs. It's like I call them the Chinese top buildings. If they look like this, they are old school. Because this was the old school way of Antiquitech before they moved to the domes, I think. Or quite possibly reverse. The domes could be the old school way of getting the Antiquitech free energy, whatever. And this could be the newer way, I guess. Because maybe they ran out of gold or they had more of this shit and the loop, 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 all the way up to the whatever pin thingy, All these are made, purposefully, probably on a grid point, and they made them looking like grid lines. It's how you harness free energy. So we'll go here. We're going to move up. We're going to take a couple years back to 1840, actually, to North Carolina. Check out that state building, and you tell me what's happening here. Leave it in the comments. What the fuck's wrong with this building? If you're in North Carolina, like, well, what's their excuse? What happened? What's going on here? Why are the pillars everywhere? Why is everywhere, except New York for some reason, it's just a giant castle? Why do they all have pillars? Why does this all look like I'm going to the Athens Games or something to meet Zeus on Mount Olympus? Like, why does it all look like that? And DC is no exception. DC is no exception. All right. North Dakota. I guess we could do you. Oh, what do we? Oh no, we didn't. Look, 1924. That's still interesting for 1924. I don't know. Leave it in the comments. What do you think? Yay or nay? North Dakota. All right. The Ohio State House, 1861. Look at that, dude. Are you kidding me? Roman columns everywhere. They all meet up at a point. And they have an uncompleted dome here. So maybe they were in the process of making this. And then the event happened. or the event knocked the dome off of it. Because when was this made? Ohio State House, 1861. Right around, yeah, like I said, right around the time of Revolutionary War. Like I said, an event. That's an event. All right, so wow, 1917. It looks like they did some remodeling to the dome in the early 2000s. But 1917, Oklahoma, middle of the desert, middle of nothing. They got the means, the resources, the ability, the manpower, the technology, the techniques, the craftsmanship to make this. And yet, like I said, we all live in shitty wooden buildings for the most part. If a tree fell on this, if a tree was tall enough to fall on that, the building would be fine. If a tree falls on my house, I'm probably going to die. I'm just saying. Just saying. What do we got here? Oregon State Capitol, 1935. Yeah, right. Okay. This is like something you found in 1935. This looks like I don't know. This looks like a giant door. I don't know, man. Leave it in the comments. What do you think? And it's got like a Titan on top. See, this is probably the dude who walked through the door. Give me a break. Is there a giant Titan on top of the Oregon State Building in Salem? Of course. Pennsylvania State House. You'll love to see it. In Harrisburg, 1906. Let's see what they were. Yeah, that's what we're building in 1906. Double pillars, that Greco-Roman type look, of course. Of course, all looking like cement or concrete or something, but there's most likely brick underneath it. And you got to go up a substantial amount of steps to even get to the door here. So what's below these little barriers here? What's below these barriers? I believe there's probably more stories beneath, but who knows? People who work there might. Oh, this is a good one here. Providence, 1904. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Looks like they dug it off of the hill. Looks like they had to dig. That's what they left it at. Look at that, dude. Double, oh, not double. You have the giant arches. Wow, dude. Huge arches, pillars, 4 domes around the giant dome. Wow. Wow. And another man with a staff on top. Interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. For 1904, it is interesting. So we're going to make our way to South Carolina. 1907, let's see what they were doing. Of course. Looking like Athens. Of course. Of course. Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it? Look at that. Look at this beautiful top. Can't make anything like that today if they tried. Could pay them all the money in the world. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. All right, gotta make our way to South Dakota. Look at this. 1911. This is what they're pumping out. 1911. What do you think? Leave it in the comments. I know a couple people will watch this. What 1911. And what happened here? Look at the brick on the bottom. It's actually a brick house. You know what I'm saying? All the way up. All the way up, though. Still, that's a substantial building to make out of brick. If it is, the columns I'm not sure about, but wow, man, all the way up. There's columns around the dome. There's stuff coming out of the dome, textures, architect, antiquitech. Interesting. All right, so yeah, let's do that again. And looks like we lost our roll. I think that was South Dakota. Should have done this live so I could just ask the chat. Believe it was, and yep, we're gonna go to Tennessee, 1854. This is what they're pumping out in 1854 for a state capitol building. Rough time believing that. Look at the pillars, probably all around the building, because you can see them on this side as well. Over here, clearly, in front as well. Or is this the front? Who really knows? Who knows, man? Look at this. Clearly, it's brickwork, just plastered out in front, but look at the antiquitech on the front of it there. Look at that going all the way around. Perfect smooth stone, right angles everywhere. Like Jen says, she points out the lines going all the way across the buildings perfectly. Very interesting. So Texas State Capitol, 1888. Took them 7 years to build this son of a... Jeez, man. What is that? Look at that building. Who is this archway for? Wow. Look at that. Two completely different colors. Brick on the bottom and who knows on the top, man. Look at that, dude. That's a building. 7 years to make this. My, you know what? Maybe like 170 years to make this. Holy mackerel. Utah, 1916. Just not buying it, people. Look at all the columns. Look at them all. Huge stairways, giant dome, little dome with a little ball on top with probably some free energy in there that they don't know how to make today, obviously. We saw most of these Capitol buildings, the ones that are at least taking the photo of in summer, they had ACs in the window, so they don't know how to use the technology in these buildings anymore. And look at this, Vermont State House, 1836, a very long, long time ago. And further back you go, the more golden domes you get. Look at that. Just beautiful. And yet interesting because you don't see anything like that today. Nothing. Not even close. And we'll get back to Washington State Capitol. Let's go to West Virginia, 1932. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Look at that, man. Look at all that. There's no way. Even if we had cranes, how are they going to pick up shit that heavy and put it on top and make the domes that perfect? Make all the pillars all the way around so perfect. Look at that, dude. Look at this guy getting the sweat on. Good man. Look at that. There's little M's in all the window. I wonder what that's for. Little Freemasonic aprons everywhere. Look at that. Wow. Yeah, we're going to go to the Wisconsin State Capitol, 1917. Lost for words here. Just incredible. All these pillared buildings. We see them everywhere. I see them in my local town, my local city, Springfield, Mass. Very old city in Massachusetts. And it's just, you see the pillars everywhere. It's like we're living in a new Rome, a new Greece, a new world. Original maps of America were called the America, the New World Map. Now you got the UN with the UNNWO, New World Order.org, which has now changed. The contents on the website have changed. But thankfully, I saved those in a live stream. And look at this building. This is this is Wyoming in the year 1890 century, and they're whipping out golden domes, half domes over here, all-seeing eyes up here, giant window outlines. I wonder who those were for. Look at this. Look at this building. And the brick is clearly expanding and getting bigger down here due to some sort of scorch event, which would fit the nature of Wyoming, seeing as there are many dry, vast valleys and whatnot. So there's that. And that's all of the state capitals. And let's just look at Washington, D.C. We all know what it looks like, but oh no, this is Washington State. I'm sorry. Is that what it was? Wow. Kid's just an asshole. Look at that. 1929, Washington State. Almost forgot about my people. I'm just kidding. You people in Seattle are kind of effed up right now, but look at all that. The domes. I mean, the pillars, obviously, the big dome on top with the, interesting, Moscow, Tartarian, Indian-looking little onion half dome on top. Just very ornate, very interesting. And you can't make anything like that today. So I just find that very interesting. And real quick, let's just let me show you what's in my neighborhood, because those were all state capitals. This is Springfield, Mass. This is one of the old Grand Freemasonic lodges. Look at that, baby. Look at it. It's huge. It's huge. Giant. And now let me just do a little fast forward here. And just like all the other pillar buildings, this is City Hall. This is where the mayor chills at. Look at the building. All the Roman Greco pillars everywhere. The Antiquitech on top is just precise. Let me get on it in a second. Look at it. Wow. Like, look how perfect it is on top. That's what I wanted you guys to see. Look at that. Downtown Springfield. The pillars, just beautiful. And now we make our way over here to, I don't know, Springfield Tower, what they call it. And if you look on it, well, first of all, you see a giant door for someone. And I have a feeling, let's go back a second, this is just like the top of a castle or something. Who knows? Who knows? But if we zoom in, Springfield, for anyone who doesn't know, was allegedly established in 1636. Let's see what the monument built in that time had to say. It says something different. It says I 636. And for anyone who doesn't know, I is in the year of our Lord 636. It's not like they got lazy and just, oh, we're going to do one Roman numeral and we'll do the rest regular digits. Like, no, it's not how it works. In the year of our Lord is another way of saying AD. So 636 AD is most likely when Springfield, Mass was discovered or established or whatever. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to get out of here. Like, share, and subscribe. God bless and have a great day.